Before we get started today, I wanted to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by a very special screening coming up in the city of Los Angeles. July 10th, I am presenting the Los Angeles premiere of the new film by Moturn Media, Charles Roxburgh and Matt Farley's Evil Puddle. I will be introducing the film at the Lumiere Cinema in Beverly Hills, one night only, Thursday, July 10th, and I haven't even said the best part. Matt Farley himself is flying to Los Angeles for this screening. We are going to be doing a Q&A live pod type situation there. I'm not sure if I'm actually going to be able to record it, so if you live in Los Angeles, there is only one way to hear this conversation live in person. But more important than that, I mean, it's fucking Matt Farley's new movie, and you're going to be in his presence. So buy a ticket, and even if you don't live in LA, throw me $10. It's the next edition of Extended Clip Presents, and tickets are on sale now, July 10th. See you there.
Yeah, I don't know, man. You ever just feel like life is just catapulting towards like some greater purpose?
Average fat cats with bloated ego. We are the only DJ crazy enough to tattoo Jackie Brown on his ass.
This is Michael Mann, and I ride with...
Yeah, not like that Crimes and Misdemeanors episode where I wasn't recording at all for 10 minutes, and then I thought I started recording, but was only recording the Zoom for another 10 minutes.
True. Well, there's a lot going on. There was, more people.
More
in
people.
Here.
It was the first time we had ever had It was the first time we had three mics plugged in. I think since I recorded in New York with Hessa and Nick. Because JT, did we ever have an in-person guest in Philly?
No.
Whit Stillman is the only one, and it was just the two of us.
Yeah.
So the only time we've had three mics plugged in was, first of all, it was with the old equipment, which was much easier to do it with because there was just four actual channels. And yeah, it was fucking like, what is that, December 2023?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
When's the last time all three of us recorded in the same room? I mean, that's even a harder question.
That's before JT moved.
Yeah, it must have been when JT was
That was
in
the
LA.
last time. Yeah. That was probably the first final episode when we canceled the show the first time, when we got canceled.
In a way, it kind of was the final episode of a certain way the show was recorded.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, of being able to smell JT's pheromones.
True.
But I think the pheromones can radiate digitally.
Absolutely.
We just need to inch up just a little bit more with the Patreon, and then I'll be flying out there every week. We're just like that much, like maybe 50 cents away from being able to get the plane budget that we need into I don't know, crunching all the numbers. I'm not really I don't know all that kind of stuff. I'm just talent.
Well, the thing is, I do know all that kind of stuff because I'm production as well as talent. And I've looked into this kind of thing, and Spirit Airlines, if you book 2-3 months in advance, you can get coast to coast round trip like $150 or so. Wow. So like $150, and then maybe we gang record more rather than we just do it every other week. We do 4 episodes every other week,
True. Or we could really stretch our dollar, do this in like wonders where we record like
a whole month at a time.
30 episodes in a week.
What I'm saying is if we do a whole month at a time, JT literally can afford to take Spirit Air out here once a month and do a month's worth of podcasting in person. No, not that I'm telling him that that's how he needs to spend his cut of the Patreon. I'm just saying that it is true.
Balls in your court.
I am just excited for the time when I am out there, which will be soon-ish, and we can do one all in the same room together again. I need to see if the magic is still there. We're in this sort of mode where I'm like, I don't know, like a Max Headroom sort of like digital warrior sort of thing where I don't know. I mean, at this point now, for Malcolm in particular, I only exist in your phone and on the computer. I don't know. If you saw me now, I think you could just shoot me in the back of the head and feel nothing because I just exist in the ether to you.
You were talking about max headroom. I had to adjust the goddamn webcam because it was angled too low. I got too much headroom.
Yeah, it got
I
you
was at
thinking
maximum headroom.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to feel your physicality, JT, in the same space. I think it would, and I wouldn't shoot you or anything like that. I don't know. You have these violent fantasies.
In
these
the
violent
classic
fears.
dichotomy of what you're going to do in that situation, I believe that you would salute him, not
yeah.
shoot him.
Exactly. There's two options for a guy like me. It's either salute or shoot, and that goes vice versa as well.
I think the film that we're covering this week offers a wide variety of physical acts that we could potentially engage in together when we reunite.
Oh man,
I'm mostly talking about basketball.
Yeah.
But
wheelchair
we'll see
basketball.
where it takes us.
Oh man,
I would love to play a game of wheelchair basketball.
I'm afraid that is going to take up the entirety of the discussion of this movie. It's Extended Clip, episode 413, and I'm one of your hosts, Eddie Averill.
I'm Malcolm Baum.
I am JT White.
And yes, it is true. The rumors have been confirmed. We are talking about Pedro Almodovar's foray into the Spain pick and roll. The fluid Spain pick and roll in his wheelchair basketball movie, Live Flesh. Now, this is not a wheelchair basketball movie. I did not know that wheelchair basketball was an aspect of it. So in real time, it became a wheelchair basketball movie to me. But of course, it is a crime thriller, dramatic crime thriller, romantic crime thriller, a violent psychosexual movie, taking notes from Hitchcock and more flagrant and vulgar pieces of film, such as Brian De Palma. And I really do think that this is like the closest to De Palma mode that I've ever seen Pedro Almodovar. This comes in 1997, and maybe people are expecting something a little bit like that from this. It's like a sexy revenge thriller, and he does deliver that, but at the same time, it's also like a very strange movie, and I think the strangeness is often the best aspect of it, because some of the revenge plot stuff can get like a little long-winded and telegraphed at the same time, where it's like you kind of could skip over a couple plot points, but there are certain eccentricities of this movie that are just like so unique to it, and I love the style of it. I love the scope framing, and the music is also like very reminiscent of Pino Donaggio's work for Brian De Palma, I would say. And yeah, it's a very fun film. Malcolm, you brought this to the table, right?
Yes, I did. And saying that this is it definitely is eccentric, but at the same time, I feel like it is like the most quote unquote normal Almodovar movie I've seen. I haven't seen so many, maybe 3 or 4, but it's just interesting to see kind of like, I call it normal just because I feel like the plotting and kind of, or the plot itself rather, it is very reminiscent of popular erotic 90s thrillers of the time. Like there is a strain of this that shares, or there's a part of this that shares the same DNA as a Perfect Murder starring Michael Douglas, or I don't know.
A John Dahl movie.
Dahl movie.
But this is like more amped up than John Dahl.
Totally.
But like Last Seduction totally fits. This is just like the very amped up, overheated Lost Seduction type movie.
Yeah, and it's, I guess what makes it interesting is
Last Seduction, not Lost Seduction.
It
was me having like a patrician Boston Brahmins accent. Ah, yes, the Lost Seduction.
I picked A Perfect Murder just because I was trying to think of like the most nondescript, like one that people don't remember. This was like adapted from like an airport novel, I believe, and it's, like the plot is pretty like boilerplate. I hesitate to say this because I don't want to be racist, but I think it does fit. It does feel soap opera-ish
Yeah,
at times,
sure.
for sure.
I mean, that's something
Yeah.
that Almodovar pulls from a lot. I mean, you look at some of his most iconic films, like Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown, that absolutely, you know, not only like plays with the form of telenovelas, the Spanish language soap operas, but really can feel like it at times, like an elevated version of that. And yeah, I mean, he really likes to indulge in those kind of stories, and they're, you know, easy to pay attention to.
Yeah, no, they're cinematic. They're inherently
There's a reason
cinematic.
that they reel you in, you know, and
Yeah.
he makes them even more cinematic. I think that
Yeah.
like his bag of tricks is what makes most of his movies interesting. Most of his movies that I've seen are good enough on a script level. I would say The Skin I Live In is definitely the most like conceptually advanced and like incredible thing that I've seen from him. But the other handful I've seen are like, like strong enough scripts. And it's really just like the way that he interprets them that makes the material so much stronger. And of course, his relationship with actors. And we should say that Javier Bardem as the lead in this is unbelievable. You also get a great cameo in the cold open by Penelope Cruz as a prostitute going into labor, you know, recreating almost the miracle, or you could say it's like sacrilegious, but it's the whole thing is that she's having a miraculous child delivery at Christmas time on a bus, you know, in an empty city. And she gives birth to Victor, who, you know, 20 years later grows up and falls into a life of crime that sets up like the, I don't know, all the table setting for this twisted tale. You know, you got Victor hooking up with this girl who he met at a club, and then he's like trying to hook up with her again or get another date with her, and it becomes this domestic disturbance that leads the Javier Bardem cop character and his partner onto the scene, and the like action set piece that ensues leaves the Javier Bardem character shot in the hip and paralyzed from the waist down, and Victor in jail. And the way that you get exposed to that information for the setup is so unbelievable, because it's like, I like the result of the shootout is pretty obvious. Like, you know who got away, who got shot. You know, no one got away. Who got caught and who got shot. And then it just cuts to like footage of the Paralympic basketball games, and Javier Bardem is just like whizzing up and down the court, winning the game for his team, you know, and we pull back and it's Victor watching it on a tiny prison TV. You know, from then on, he just comes back into that cop's life to torture him and have like a psychosexual relationship with both his wife and his partner's wife, and exploiting the fact that Javier Bardem's character and his partner were actually, you know, having all these tensions boil over because of an extramarital affair between not the two of them, but you know, a little wife swap situation, if you will. And so it just becomes this like web of not really even love, but lust triangles and crime intersecting in an almost, you know, quote unquote economy of twists way that I've described in like movies like Wild Things, you know, or more recently No Sudden Moves. It kind of falls into that category of plotting, but I just think like the style, the performances, and yeah, the basketball just like sends it into a level above a lot of movies like that. JT, what did you think about this one?
Yeah, I feel like I fall very similarly to the two of you in that I really liked it, and the fun, stylish elements are always what's pulling me into Almodovar, especially because I feel like some of his more art house looking films kind of like put me off. I'm like less interested in those. I feel like he definitely does lean sleazy and exploitative, but yeah, I don't know. I just can really tap into like the fun, exciting, formal qualities. Here, I think there's a heavy amount of like sexual like symbols, like the idea of Bardem being like paralyzed from the waist down is obviously at play in the relationship he has with his new wife.
And we didn't mention that his, Javier Bardem's wife is, of course, the woman in question who Victor had hooked up with at the club. And, she's introduced with this super phallic shot of her freebasing coke, which is one of my favorite stylistic, like, psychosexual moments of the movie, is the way that Almodovar makes it, like, so just ridiculously phallic of her like freebasing while ignoring guys calling her on the phone. But yeah, so he like Javier Bardem's character reforms her, essentially, and she's now the wife of an ex-cop who's, on injury pension, and she's like working for the school district or something like that.
Within that world, I definitely do agree with, I think you said at the very beginning, Eddie, there is a little bit there in the revenge stuff that I feel like is like kind of inessential. The Clara and Sancho like couple parts of it, that just isn't as electric as the things with Bardem and the Victor character, that back and forth, and Victor being like his one, I think Victor like holding a gun to a woman to be like, go on a date with me, I think is a very very funny tactic. But then after he gets out of prison, his plan is like, I am going to get so fucking good at laying pipe that I am just going to like fuck your girl like crazy and flip her. And that is such a funny, sleazy, like exploitative, like plot mechanic that Almodovar like just takes and runs with.
It's also deeply Freudian. I mean, the first thing he does when he gets out of prison is visit his mom's gravesite, and he's like doing the math for how much she had to fuck guys on the street for money to have the amount of money that she died with. And he's like, you made that much money, having sex for money, and I've already made that much money before I went to prison, and I'm a virgin. That's not fair. Yeah. And it's just like the strangest thing to say out loud right after you get out of prison. But, he's had a lot of time to think about sex and why he was where he was. And so, yeah, that kind of sets him off on the journey. It's like not just the fact of wanting to take revenge upon the cops who wronged him, but, doing it for his mom.
Also, even funnier, like, there's the revenge aspect is also spurred on by the fact, and he mentions this, that, he's kind of somewhat like sexually humiliated. And in like the grand scheme of the plot, it's not even like something you really think about so much. But like when at first, before in the first setting where Elena is still a junkie and, there's the confrontation with the cops, I think she tells him like, you didn't even fuck me like when we had sex, like yeah. you didn't know how to do it, and that was part of it, like, maybe why he's so fired up. He's like, that was my first time having sex, that's why I'm coming back here to start a relationship or whatever. And
I like his ambitions where he's just like, so I know that was my first time having sex and it was really bad, but I plan to be the greatest lover of all time.
Exactly.
So you got to work with me here.
There's a lot of these movies where someone wants to get like revenge on a couple or something. And like, obviously the subtext is that there's like some sort of like sexual aspect to that. Whereas Almodovar really makes that the text here. And it seems like the main reason Victor wants to get his revenge is not even because years of his life was taken away wrongfully with him being in prison. It was just like he wants to prove he had like one bad performance, and he's like, I want to prove I'm actually pretty good at sex. Actually, please give me another chance. And just the way that all unfolds is just very funny because also, that seems to be his goal. But then in the process too of, this quite elaborate process where he's starts hooking up with Clara, Sancho's wife at first, and then, somehow gets a job at the place that Elena works at. And then he just kind of seems to become like actually a good person through helping the kids too. And I kind of like his like slight reserve at first, like right before he does finally have sex with Elena. It seems like he's like, I don't even know if this is what I should be doing anymore. But, when presented with it, of course you're going to, it's hard to refuse.
And their sex scene is like the most romantically shot thing of the movie too, despite the fact that it's her, cheating on her crippled husband with him. And we talked about that already. JT brought it up that it's a very clear, emasculation or castration even of Javier Bardem's character being paralyzed from the waist down, and to the extent that like the first scene we see him in post injury, because the basketball thing is on a television, the first actual scene that he's in is just like him getting a massage from his wife and then like hoisting her up to eat her out, and that's the extent of what he can do physically, and I think the fact that he turns to athletics after he is unable to function as a cop anymore also speaks to that, where he's like looking to invigorate his masculinity in some way because he can't fuck anymore. So now he's like wearing Tasmanian Devil t-shirts and playing basketball. He has two Taz shirts, and also there's a third one that his wife wears that's clearly his. Like she's wearing his Taz shirt to sleep. And that's just beautiful. I mean, wheelchair hooping in the Taz shirt is some of the hardest late 90s swag you could possibly imagine. He also, he just loves to hoop. He's got, the Blue Chips poster in his basement,
Jordan hat.
He's got, he's wearing the Air Jordan hat throughout. I mean, that look of him, slumped in the wheelchair with the Air Jordan hat lowered over his face, wearing the Taz shirt is great.
He's got, the home gym setup where, it's a kind of like a cage and a hoop that he'd shoot in. And there's, a scene where he receives bad information, and then the next scene, he's just putting up shots. You know what I mean? This is his way to cope with what's going on.
Getting buckets.
Yeah, and
he's kind of a bucket too. Well, he's on a good team.
Yeah, he's in
the Olympics.
It's introduced at when we find out that's what he's up to. Through Victor's jail television. Yeah, they just won the championship. Half of it is him on the court hooping, then the other half is them in the locker room celebrating. He's got a woman twerking on him and stuff like that as he's pumping bottles. It's quite a triumphant moment. No offense, but I remember one time looking up wheelchair basketball stats and being who's the GOAT wheelchair basketball player, and it was 10 points per game, 30% field goal percentage.
I did look this up, honestly.
So you looked this, okay.
I looked this up because I remember you telling me that a long time ago. I'm not sure which particular stats you were looking at. I know there's a Canadian guy who was putting up 20 a game.
Did I just get some, I probably clicked on one website.
At one league.
Yeah, one league
but
or
at
one
least
website.
in the Paralympic Games, first of all, the U.S. has won basketball gold 3 times in a row in the Paralympic Games, but there's this one Canadian dude who's been playing since the 90s who's 20 a game in the Olympics.
Okay.
He's really good. He's widely considered the GOAT.
See, that's good. That's a good correction, because I don't need to besmirch these guys. I don't think there's really much good
but
reason
you are
to.
right that the numbers just look funny. If you do look at the box score of a wheelchair basketball game, it's all right, what's going on here?
This isn't good hoops. It
is ethical hoops. It's extremely ethical hoops, but is it good? Would you rather watch Trae Young stick his ass out and get bait fouls like that, or would you rather watch some wheelchair hoops?
That's actually a tough question. It's do you want to watch the Jordan Poole Wizards for 82 games, or do you want to watch
wheelchair
20
basketball?
Games of the best wheelchair basketball possible?
I mean, those guys look fired up. The one guy, his one teammate at one point is doing some sick dribble moves. At one point, Bardem throws an over the head pass Jokic style. style. It's crazy. It's an unbelievable pass. I mean, the thing is, he's really into soccer in the movie too. This comes up later during a very intense scene. Atletico Madrid scores a goal, and like the two opposing people in the scene, of course, Javier Bardem and the Victor character, just completely break out of their, predatory nature toward each other, their violent nature toward each other, and celebrate this goal briefly. And then they're like, all right, bye.
That's a great scene because it seems like that's like the first time Victor and David meet up, like after he gets out of prison. And it seems like a real like terse confrontational conversation. And that just totally breaks the tension and kind of like cues in that maybe it's like, okay, David's definitely like a bit cued in. He's got tunnel vision on his goals, but he's not like, I don't know. This isn't like John Lithgow in that one Denzel Washington movie, Ricochet. It's not John Lithgow in Ricochet. He's not like some craven psycho.
Both are like kind of Diet De Palma movies.
Exactly.
This and Ricochet, so I could definitely see the comparison, but I get that it's like he's not to that level. Yeah.
He's respectable. He's
Ricochet
human.
goes as far as to cast John Lithgow as far as being a Diet De Palma movie.
Yeah.
This one doesn't go that far.
Not to talk about other movies, but that's that scene in Ricochet where we get a peek at Lithgow's cell and he's got like Denzel Washington's face taped over like some hot babes or something, like some weird pornographic paper mache action there.
Yeah.
No, it's not quite like that. Or I guess it's a little bit like that, but he wants to just have sex with his enemies' wives rather, which is a little more understandable, I guess, from my point of view.
So I just want to clarify something. The reason I brought up the soccer game anyway was like, the guy, he plays a very European style of basketball. That's what I'll say. It's very reminiscent of FIBA style basketball. They're in Spain. They're watching a lot of soccer. Very pass first. The GOAT of wheelchair basketball, from what I can tell, his name is Patrick Anderson, which is a very like Canadian name for an athlete. He would have been a hockey player if not for a near fatal car crash when he was 9 years old, where he lost the use of his legs. So then he started playing wheelchair basketball for the Twin City Spinners, which is, what a fucking name for a pro wheelchair basketball team. That was his main team for like 13 years, but he like dominated for the Olympics for Canada from 2000 all the way to like 2020.
Is he Canadian or Minnesota?
He's Canadian.
Okay.
But like he went and played in the American.
Okay,
yeah. What's really funny is he went and played in the NWBA, which makes more sense as an acronym than the WNBA would. But the WNBA has to use their name because this one already exists, the National Wheelchair Basketball Association.
Oh, wow.
That makes more sense. Like, wouldn't it make more sense to call it the National Women's Basketball Association than the Women's National Basketball Association?
I guess so. I'm trying to... I guess I don't know. Either way, it kind of works.
I also NWBA, evokes a certain '80s rap group.
Yeah, that's what I'm. Maybe like.
But this league,
No
the
comment.
NWBA, was founded in the '70s, predating Eazy-E, Dr. Dre.
So they're kind of NWA. Maybe they should have checked in with the National Wheelchair Basketball Association. And been like, is it okay? Is this kind of encroaching on your territory? Can we? Is it cool if we name ourselves that? Yeah.
All right. So like some of the team names are funny and some of them are like normal,
I was wondering, I'm like,
do you want to know what teams he played for other than the Twin City Spinners?
JT, let me ask JT, how many out of these teams do you think half the league is wheelchair pun names, 75%, or I guess Eddie already revealed that it's not 100. So 40, just random number for fun.
I feel like it's something you would want to avoid, maybe, but I don't know. It's like I don't know the time frame of when a lot of these teams were formed. I'm assuming like 80s, 90s, maybe, maybe 60%.
You were very close, from what I can tell, at least.
Yeah.
I'm strictly looking. I'm using a small sample size because although he played 13 years for the Twin City Spinners, he did play for 8 teams.
Okay. Wow.
So I'm using that as my sample size, and 4 of them have silly names. The Twin City Spinners, the Brisbane Spinning Bullets,
It's an international league. Sounds
and
like.
the spinning bullets rules.
That's fucking
that's
cool.
cool. The British Columbia cable cars. That's
All
like ridiculous.
It's a bit much.
Call yourself the cable car.
Nothing's cooler than a goddamn cable car. Fucking the Fray. That's what cable cars belong to. When I think of a cable car, I think about that song by the Fray. Yeah. Honestly, nothing, underrated in the grand scheme of things.
I don't think you're allowed to say that. I think it probably got more play than like any other song that year.
Yeah,
and I don't think you're allowed to call that underrated.
Underrated's probably the wrong term.
Like
It's just
you couldn't go anywhere without hearing that fucking song in like 2006.
I'm just saying compared to what's compared to mainstream
compared
radio,
to all this like bitches and hoes music,
I'm thinking more like music made by guys that are meant for girls, like Benson Boone or something like that. Like
Okay.
I'd rather listen to the Fray
Than Benson Boone.
I'd rather listen to the music of my childhood than the music that's currently being put out. Does anyone relate to this? Does anyone?
I can relate to that.
I pulled up a list. I found on the NWBA website. It's, I would say, close to almost maybe 90% puns, and some of them are just like not creative. Like there's the Dallas Wheelchair Mavericks.
Yeah, this guy played for the New York Rollin' Knicks. That was his last team.
Just like making wheelchairifying like current names.
I thought the
Wheelchair
Rollin' Knicks
Mavericks.
was bad, but the Wheelchair Mavericks is rough.
Wheelchair
One I really like is the Golden State Road Warriors.
That's good.
That rules. I love that. I love that.
LA Clippers chairman.
Okay. Come on.
The chairman. I kind of like there's the
Chairman of the board. Chairman of the boards. Get 10 rebounds in the game. 10 rebounds in a game, you're called chairman of the board.
Someone has to be nicknamed chairman of the board in
Yeah.
the NWBA.
It's Frank Sinatra.
Frank Sinatra. And this might seem cruel in a sense, but I think we're bringing attention to this league that they wouldn't receive it otherwise.
I also think it's awesome. Like,
yeah, it is cool. It is cool. Yeah,
we're talking about it this much because it's my favorite part of the movie is watching guys play basketball in wheelchairs. Yeah. Like it's just aesthetic pleasure. Ball goes in hoop. I enjoy.
I feel like maybe it's like its biggest use for the wheelchair stuff is like the metaphor, obviously. But like there's scenes where David is kind of snooping on Victor, and like he has
David
to,
being the Bardem,
Bardem character,
ex-policeman. Yeah,
and like we see him like getting into his car, and he kind of has to like take that extra second to like fold up his wheelchair and put it in his car. It's like it does incorporate it in like some ways beyond the metaphor that is somewhat interesting.
Yeah, I really like that aspect of it because, well, it's not like, I wouldn't go as far to say like things like that are subtle, but in a movie that is so big and large, like otherwise, seeing like Javier Bardem take maybe 2 minutes to fiddle his wheelchair back in the car, I think not only adds to like the emasculation angle where it's clearly like a source of frustration for him that he has to deal with it, but I think very accurately like represents like the new like and just different lifestyle that he has to deal with. Because I don't know, with what Eddie was saying when we transitioned to that point, like post the shooting, I feel like you do kind of get a little bit of whiplash there of just being like, oh, whoa, shit. Like again, like obviously the wheelchair basketball is like crazy exciting, but like, getting wheelchair basketball dropped in. How do we get here?
When the movie's kind of just beginning, you're kind of, like you get like a good first 5 to 10 minutes with like Victor's birth, with the Penelope Cruz character, and then you get young Victor kind of stalking Elena and getting into her house. It's not until like after that big set piece with the two cops arriving at the door and their lives are changed from that moment on. You really don't get into like the the meat of what's going on. And I would say until like 25 minutes in, you know, because I'm like, I would say a lot of it is just kind of figuring it out and kind of just soaking in the city setting that obviously I feel like this movie has like a lot of that on its mind, right? Like there's like a big point is made kind of like of like the political unrest that you know, the Victor character is born into, and then, you know, the movie's bookended when Victor has his own son and he kind of, you know, is looking around and like, oh, things are, you know, a little bit better than they were.
Madrid is now brave, apparently. Yeah. See, I don't know about the political backdrop of this, so I can't really speak to that. But yeah. I like the way that this wraps up. I like this movie in general. I'm unsure of like how much I like it, how much maybe I was in a funk while watching certain chunks of it, you know. Sometimes you get a funk chunk. You never know, you know. But I'm gonna go 3.5 bullets on this one for I think it's quite good, and if I ever got a chance to see it like on a print, I would definitely do that, because whatever version is out there right now does not look great. Like, sure, it's an HD quote unquote, but it's not a very good master or whatever. You know, it's definitely a film that could use an upgrade, and I know there's prints floating around too. So yeah, I would love for someone to play it out here. Maybe we missed it.
I first became aware of this movie because it was playing at the Academy,
I believe. Yeah, because
like,
they did a whole Almodovar thing. Yeah,
because
Almodovar or Almodovar.
We're the wrong people to. I think me and JT have been
said
saying
this before.
Almodovar. Now I.
No Almo.
My wires are completely crossed now. I can't even say his name.
No
Pedro.
Yeah.
You know.
No Pedro.
But that's you know.
Just Al.
Al.
Just call me Al.
Mr.
That song "Call Me Al" by Paul Simon is about Pedro Almodovar.
It just be like, I'm just trying to like imagine us as and you know, you guys have done this before, but like the people who introduce movies, you know what I mean? And like, you know, name pronunciation, that's always been a thing, but like mispronouncing like a guy's name whose name has been said for like the past 30 to 40 years that like everybody knows how to say.
As if you were to introduce a movie like being John Malkovich and you were to say that the lead of the movie was John Cusack.
Yeah.
I really want to do that. Like I want, because I can't tell if you've embodied it on purpose or are still doing it on accident when you say Cusack instead of Cusack.
John Cusack.
You say Cusack. Like when we did School of Rock, you said Joan Cusack.
How do you say the last
Cusack?
Like
Cusack? A pool Q.
Cusack?
Yeah, Q.
Cusack?
No, it's not Cusack.
Well, no, I'm trying to recall how I said it wrong.
You said
Malcolm
Cusack.
does have like, and I mean again,
yeah,
it's like the Bill Simmons
shame
thing.
in this.
Everyone
but some
has
elite
them.
mispronunciations.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's like Bill Simmons saying Malik Monk. You know,
Malik Monk. I feel like it's very reminiscent of Ricky from Trailer Park Boys.
Some Ricky-isms.
I really do think it's from that.
But I just think like, if we did a podcast, like a live pod, you know, doing a movie with one of the Cusacks in it, I would definitely let you introduce it just to see if it would happen, or at least like egg you on to say it kind of in a way. Because I've seen people turn on the intro guy.
I can't claim to, you know, I'm not going to be, you know, a liar and be like, oh yeah, it was definitely on purpose. I'm fooling you guys. But maybe subconsciously something was going on, because Mr. Cusack has had me blocked on Twitter for years and years and years. And I don't even know, with the Russell Crowe thing, I know why that happened, but it must have been like some bot he used or something.
Maybe he's like homies with Russell Crowe.
Yeah, word got around.
Word got around that you're a bad boy.
They were chilling together when that happened. He's like, I'm gonna go block that kid too. That guy's a fucking asshole.
John fucking Cusack.
So, but maybe, you know, I've seen that. I think he's
around. Like, he interacts with people that we're mutuals with.
That's what I'm saying, and I think he accidentally tweeted the other day.
Oh, I retweeted
and I saw
that, yeah.
I saw you, and like it was, people were enjoying that, and it kind of like. You know, with Twitter now, you could like.
Then you're like, why is Cusack have me blocked?
It's like, oh yeah, I forgot he has, but he's had me blocked for like 8 years. Like it's been it's been a pretty long time. So hey man, we got mutual friends. I guess Eddie's telling me. if you're hearing this, just you don't even have to follow me.
Audit John Cusack's Twitter right now as you finish this thought. Yeah.
There wasn't too much of that. Just we don't even have to follow each other, but just just unblock, just be friendly, and I don't know, maybe we could run into each other somewhere. I don't know. It's
he's probably more of a New York guy than an LA guy, right?
Oh well. But I don't. I can't claim to know anything about him. I definitely.
He is an A-list actor, so I'm sure he spends time out here, of course.
And I was
if he is a New York guy, as it were.
I was one of the few that defended your performance in Chirac back in the day.
Okay, I like that. I like that for you. I don't.
Yeah, you don't like.
I haven't seen it.
Okay, no comment.
I haven't seen it. I can't see who he follows. Like, I can only see verified people that he follows. I can't do a full audit for some reason because I want to see. Like, I'm pretty sure he follows like Don Hughes and like a lot of like weird Twitter people.
Yeah, so
like,
he's cued into
like Drill and like the Chapo guys and like
he knows
I'm pretty
things.
sure he follows all the Chapo guys.
Okay, well, so yeah, he's. So then there's if you follow the Chapo guys, then there's no reason to have me blocked. But I don't know. We don't need to, as we said before, we don't need to turn this into a Twitter podcast.
This is not a Twitter podcast.
Yeah.
We have said this many times, and it's often me saying it. So I now apologize for egging on this thing.
No, it's fine.
I shouldn't be doing on-air Twitter audits. I am the one who presented the idea that this will never be a show about Twitter, and it never will be. Ever.
Never. It won't. But if Mr. Cusack comes up, it does remind me that is we've interacted in a sense, and that's our interaction. Him shunning me.
Just like imagine it's a guy like the letter Q and then like a sack.
Cusack. Well, here's the thing.
Like as if the guy's name was like Quentin Sacramone and his nickname was Cusack.
Well, here's the thing, man. Here's the thing about Mr. Cusack is that I don't really have to memorize how to say his name because I don't really see him
memorizing
because I don't see his name popping up all too often anymore. So I don't think I'll have to memorize how to say his name or learn that shit.
You're blowing our chances of having him on the podcast.
Oh yeah, all these celebrities that are lining up that I've just said no dice, man. You're not real enough. You're not.
And you said no dice, man. And I was like, we had the dice man lined up.
True.
Malcolm said no.
But my comedic ego was bigger than his, and I said, "I'm gonna need more mic time on that episode."
I thought it was because of his misogyny, but you just wanted the mic time.
Well, I have a list of concerns, and that's about like 2 or 3. But I have to be honest with my,
You know what else is 2 or 3 numbers, and you know what else is a number? The score that you give this movie.
Yes. Well, I'm gonna give this 3.5 bullets as well. And watching this, I was thinking like this is really good. Like the style's there. I definitely agree about wanting to see it on a print, just because like I really appreciated its color palette. Like I feel like there's a lot of like heavy greens and like kind of bright colors, and also kind of Elena working in like this foster home kind of adds to that. There's just like a late 90s vibrancy of color here that I think is really good, and the perspective makes it interesting, it being so sexually driven, and just kind of Victor's unique revenge arc adds to a plot that maybe is just kind of boilerplate, but I guess that's auteurism, right? Almodovar bringing his perspective to it, and I just kind of came to the terms of like, what, this is kind of like light. There's maybe not so much to sink our teeth into, but we've all watched like thousands of movies, right? Yeah. And there's like movies we watched like 10 years ago that we probably have no memory of. That's probably like the best movie of all time, and so it's sometimes you just need a little bit of light entertainment elevated through the formal aspects. And that's exactly what we got here. So I'm leaving pretty happy.
JT, what about you?
I am going to echo the two of you gentlemen and give this 3.5 bullets as well. I don't know, more or less what you all have been saying, where there are parts of the movie that feel like a little like clunky or messy, to some extent, maybe even by design. Like I don't know. I have a hard time kind of, even though I enjoy watching it, like placing the Penelope Cruz like flashback in like the film as a whole. Like, I don't know what that adds up to for me. I mean, but it doesn't necessarily have to do anything like that. Even though there's some parts that I think like drag a little bit, I was just, yeah, I don't know, with what Malcolm was saying, like very thoroughly entertained the whole time. And like so much so where I was like teetering on like 4 at points, because like the filmmaking is so great, and it's very fun and exciting. I love how Almodovar, I don't know, just makes very intense and aggressive kinds of movies. And yeah, I don't know. We talk about the bag of tricks a lot. He seems to have a pretty deep bag, and I do want to explore more of his work because it feels just like, again, just so varied.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like as I said, I've seen like a handful, maybe a half dozen, and it's hard to say if any 2 of them are really that alike. You know, they're very. It's a very varied filmography. So yeah, that'll do it on Live Flesh. We will be right back on Extended Clip.
Yeah, you know, it's like, you know,
There's always other things
you
to
could
talk about.
get creative with
Yeah.
it, you know. Like what you had for lunch yesterday.
Well, I don't want to hear what he had for lunch yesterday.
Maybe it was
I
really
might.
good, man.
Well, I might
Maybe
want to
it
hear
was
what
really
you had
good.
for lunch. I'm just saying in general. We've tested the food content. People don't really respond to it.
They've thrown it back at
We
us like a
love it.
rotten tomato.
Exactly. We love doing the food content, but I think it's a little selfish. It's about a bit of having our, you know, tasty cakes and eating them
Having
too.
your cakes and eat. True. And also you got to save some things just for
Off mic.
human interaction. You
Yeah.
know, and some things are sacred.
The off mic pod, you know, the Zoom where me and JT are just like talking about cheeseburgers. It's
Well, I
Next
think a lot
level
of people
riffs.
are going to be very disappointed with my food week then, and I'm sorry if we get some Patreon cancellations. I'll bite that one.
Make
So-
up the difference. Yeah.
You can always email us at extendedclippodcast@gmail.com. And this one's a little complicated because I've always lived up to the promise of you write it, I read it, but I got a headache even like looking at this one. It's so long.
This is testing your limits.
Yeah,
This is
and it's
testing
okay
us.
because there's a part 2 here. The guy followed up. He realized that he was being a bit like long-winded and potentially even antagonistic. Yeah, because like it's about Jerry Lewis, and he's basically saying that he doesn't think he's funny. He's just
Well,
like,
I think that's an interesting thing to get into, though.
Yeah.
Let's read the. I think that's.
do you want to? Okay, so like
could read it.
I'll skim through some of the original one. You know, he just says that he doesn't think he's funny. He doesn't think he has funny bones. He's not the right guy for the job.
So this guy was trying to be funny in his takedown of Jerry Lewis, huh? In a
Yeah,
sense.
and he's like, you know, what bothers him the most is like the actual Jerry Lewis and how it bleeds into his comic persona, which, I mean, yeah, he's an egotist, but so is everyone, like whatever. But he was like basically telling you, he's basically like saying all that to ask like why we think he's good.
Yeah.
And my response is just like, listen to the episodes we've done on
Yeah.
The Bellboy, on Hardly Working, on Smorgasbord. Like, come on. And it was like, there's like a 2-paragraph PS too, and like a PDF or something like that. I'm like, all right, dude.
Holy
What's
hell!
in the PDF? Scroll. Like, is there? What's?
I think it's just an image, but it's
an
as
image.
a PDF. I'm like, come on, dude.
Is it a sexual image?
No. No.
It's a picture of his ass.
Your fucking mind out of the gutter. But then he writes again.
I'm sorry I sent you that sexual image.
Yo, wait, that was the wrong email.
It was supposed to be a TIFF file, not a PDF.
Something about receiving sexual images over email feels so professional, so cool.
So this guy writes again. His name's Jack, by the way. And he says, Jerry Lewis, consolation, Nutty Professor changed my life. Dear Extended Clip, I was thinking of sending a follow-up to apologize for my original email for being both too long and antagonistic. That was not the intention. I've managed to reconcile my feelings toward Jerry after watching The Nutty Professor. I had never seen it before, and I was charmed and as always blown away by the filmmaking artistry. The transformation scene especially struck me. I'm thinking of a certain Coralie Fargot might have been influenced by that scene, as well as Stuart Gordon's From Beyond. What did you think of her film, The Substack? I think he meant to say The Substance. Now, do you think that is humor or a typo?
I think that's humor, but we don't want to be antagonistic either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, because it could be predictive text. Like if you type Substack on your phone like 100 times a day, like some people do.
True. Maybe this guy's a real stacker.
Well, because if you don't have the app on your phone, then like you type it into the browser every time you go to it.
I didn't even read the emails.
But this isn't all of it.
Yeah, but him saying, I don't know, just using context clues, I think it was on purpose.
Okay.
Is what I would say.
Anyway, big fan of the pod. Gets me through my boring work days. I love that Eddie seems to dislike the English. I might have to sign up for the Patreon so I can listen to the Smorgasbord episode. Wondering if you have seen any of the 2 films Jerry made in France in the 80s. I have found both of them on YouTube in bad quality, one of them entirely in French. Maybe one day, if I could get some film writing clout, I could be the English correspondent for Extended Clip. Possibly horrible job, but someone's got to do it. Thanks again for reading, Jack. Well, why would we need a correspondent for a language we already speak?
Yeah.
If you want to translate the podcast into like Gaelic or Welsh or, one of those languages, sure. But like, we're speaking the Kings,
True. Well, it's all right.
There were a lot of micro questions within this. So the Substack, what did you think of it?
The Substack. Well, can I comment on the email before I answer any of the questions? When I first heard the prompt of it, why is Jerry Lewis funny to you guys? I was expecting it to come from someone who maybe wasn't so familiar with his movies and seemed to have watched maybe 1 or 2 at some point.
Oh no, that first email was very long with like he watched The Bellboy and hated it. You know?
But as the email went along and he's making reference to these French Jerry Lewis movies that I've never even heard of these. I didn't know that these existed. So it seems like he must have a very like.
When he says he made them, he did not direct any movies in France or anything like that. But he was in some movies in France in the 80s.
Okay, so maybe that's why a guy like me, I would have heard of that shit, but he just acted in them. But it seems like he has a very, tortured relationship with Jerry Lewis. It seems like he's considered him heavily just by all the things he was saying. And that's kind of interesting because it is like when I heard the idea of the email, I was just kind of thinking of the idea of us, young modern guys laughing at old style comedies from like a non-cinephile perspective. That is like pretty funny, just like for like young guys to be watching movies from the 40s and just being like, this shit's fucking hilarious,
But it is.
And it is. So, and anyone who has watched those knows that it is, but I don't know. I was kind of, and I guess I don't even really have any more on that, but I guess I
know what you mean.
I get
it seems like it's like a tall bicycle guy kind of thing to like watch movies from 100 years ago and laugh at them. Yeah. I guess it is just kind of, it does kind of seem funny, but sometimes those movies are really funny. So it is we have a solid defense, I would say. But just because I laugh at Groucho Marx calling a woman fat doesn't mean I also own a typewriter,
Yeah, and I wish I did because I would write more.
I would write about how much it's amazing how Groucho Marx calls women fat. Say, you take up a lot of room.
Well, yeah, I guess
one of the best lines ever.
I mean, some humor just is timeless and lasts throughout the years, right? Some concepts are just the substance I was not so, and I hid the.
You were
desk
like kind of into it when you talked about it on the pod. Not into
Really?
it, but like you
Yeah.
were like okay on it. You were
I give
like
it a glad hand, yeah.
okay overall positive on it. But have you
Yeah.
soured in the year since?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I guess I don't remember what I said initially. I guess I wouldn't say super soured, but I guess I wouldn't necessarily lend my thumbs up to that movie.
Yeah, I think it was fine.
Yeah, there's
Good
admirable
bad
aspects. Yeah.
There's some very dumb aspects. I think it's a really poorly written film. I think it's a very awful depiction of Los Angeles, and it's like you should just shoot it somewhere else. If like you're just using LA as a signifier for fame, like you could do it anywhere else. But it's very like I don't know, just like lazy location and production design kind of stuff. And like I get that the production design is like eye catching and stuff, but I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like I like aspects of it, and then certain aspects of it feel lazy. Like the whole show within the movie feels kind of obviously it's fake, but you know what I mean when I say fake for the world that we live in now. And then also just like yeah, what I said about the Los Angeles stuff, I get that it's like a claustrophobic and psycho movie, but you can at least have like a better sense of place, I think, than it does. But the thing I like about it is the branding of the actual substance, because it reminds me of like self-care, like skincare products and like medical marijuana or recreational marijuana.
Yeah, I remember you bringing that up when we talked about it, and that I thought that was a pretty great revelation that there is a lot of
same exact
weed
font
aesthetics.
and design as like the dispensary right by my house here on Melrose, like the sign for it. You know, if any Los Angelinos are looking for, you know, it's right next to the Museum of Love.
Ooh, have you ever stepped in there?
No.
You ever? Okay, yeah, never mind.
There's a Museum of Love, and there's like a true crime like escape room or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
I think they might be the same.
Really?
But like
in the same building?
yeah, like maybe they switch off, but like or maybe the Museum of Love shut down. But it's one of those things, you know. Like
Yeah.
I hate that shit.
Like the
Those
Museum
places
of
could
Death
be like
or whatever.
Those places could be movie theaters. Those places
The
could be
Museum of
stores.
Death is like a Scientology, or no,
Yeah.
that's the psychiatry. No, not Museum of Death. Sorry, I'm thinking
Museum
of
of Psychiatry.
yeah, Museum of Psychiatry is the Scientologist one.
Have you visited there?
No, but Nico did when we were living out in LA. Like his girlfriend at the time and him, they both went there, just being like, oh, okay, this is like because it's a free museum.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
then
I checked that
you,
out
like
at one
go
time.
through it, and then it's just like psychiatry is kind of like bullshit. Like all this stuff is like fake, and they're like killing people's brains, and like it's like ruining your life. And then it spits you out in a Scientologist church, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That seems. I don't know. I'd be willing to take a flyer on that. See what
I'm
what's
so
going on.
against like the micro museum thing, like
Yeah.
those kind of small like pop-up style museums. Like
do,
I
yeah.
really hate them.
They
like,
do suck. Like it is.
like everyone hypes up that Museum of Jurassic Technology.
We went to
People are
that
like,
together,
it's the
right?
best thing in LA.
Yeah.
It's when you're in LA, you gotta go to the Museum of Jurassic Technology. It's so lame. Like that's another one. It's just like tear it down, make it a bookstore.
I think I liked it a little bit more than, but at
was so lame.
It's like more conceptual. Like to actually go there and like
Yeah.
take it in is like not. It wasn't that fun of an experience. I
No,
would
it
say.
sucks.
Or
And it's all the way in
informative.
Culver City.
Yeah.
And I went because people had told me to go and Josh was in town.
Okay,
so
yeah,
we
that's why
took
we went,
Josh.
yeah.
And I was like, this fucking sucks. I could have taken Josh to somewhere good. Like I've lived here my whole life and I
a real
blew
museum.
it, you know?
You blew it.
I blew it.
You could have saw Michael Jackson statue with the monkey. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I literally was so heated that I was just standing on the sidewalk outside of the museum waiting for you and Josh to finish.
I do
like,
remember
this
that
sucks.
you opted out like 45 minutes before we left.
Yeah, I opted out like 10 minutes in. I was like, this is absolutely whack. Like,
Well, I like the museum. I think it's just
Yeah.
a nice place to chill. Like
Yeah.
they have that like rooftop like
That
thing
rooftop
where you can
is- that
chill.
rooftop's really
like,
cool,
I
yeah.
think I guess it depends on what you're going in to get out of it. Like it's just a nice place to kind of walk around and look at things. It's like, oh, maybe that one's fake, maybe that one's real, and then you just go up and chill.
Yeah.
That I think you're right in that the best way to use that place is just to go upstairs and like drink tea with those chillers upstairs. You know what I mean? Like because it is like, what's the concept? All of it's fake, or some of it's fake, some of it's real.
It's like a fictional museum.
Some of it's
old
real
technology.
and some of it's fake.
Yeah.
Some of it's real, some of it's
It's a real
And it's-
F for fake situation.
Yeah.
You know? Orson Welles is rolling
well, yeah.
over
You think
in
it'd
his
be up
grave.
your
Yeah,
alley,
yeah.
Eddie? You know, it'd be apparently. You know,
Tear it down.
a guy like me who like I can't handle Cusack. That's too much for. I can't even handle the truth. You know what I mean? So it's like once you kind of mix both of those two, it does kind of like, all right, this is interesting.
JT, did you see the Substack?
No, I did not see the Substack.
I love that.
It really tripped you up there.
It was a hard
Yeah,
question.
no, I was just like, well, this email has like 30 fucking different things that we have to address here. I wanted to just talk about like the Jerry Lewis. The initial question, I think, is, the initial question couched in apparently 300 paragraphs, pages of dick pics, and
A job request.
Don't forget about the footnotes.
yeah, footnotes, like annotated bibliography, all that bullshit.
It's a real infinite jest. It's a real doorstopper of an email.
But like, I think that what it's stemming from, I think, is something that everyone kind of encounters in art. And I mean, I guess like with comedy in particular, like it's just like encountering, especially in film, I feel like you find something that's canonized and you dislike it and you're like, okay, what do I do with this? Like, am I like not, I mean, I think you have to be a little insecure to be like, am I wrong about it? But you want to understand what is like supposedly great about a thing. And with Jerry, I mean, in terms of like formal qualities of his directorial work, like you can point to the way he composes a scene and like builds a gag as like something like as the real meat on the bone there. But if you don't find it funny, then obviously like your mileage may vary and you get like a kind of an aesthetic object to potentially admire, but like I feel like it would frustrate you more than anything. But I mean, with movies, I mean, again, he had to send a revision to this email because that's the beautiful thing about the world of cinema is, or even just the experience of enjoying art, is that like, okay, maybe you see something that's like canon classic or whatever, or any kind of bullshit, and then you're like, oh, fuck this, I hate this. And then maybe 10 years go past, 5 years, I don't know the span of time between these two emails, but I'm assuming maybe 3 hours to a day go past, and you see another Jerry Lewis movie, or you see the same thing over again, and the maturity of that day has washed over you and you understand it in a different way. So I don't know. I think it's just like, I mean, obviously you want to understand like the mindset of someone who really appreciates something, like when it comes to potentially like important art, but I don't know. It's subjective.
That's really well said. You know, you just got to let things come to you. You know what I mean? It's you know, even if you don't understand something right away, you got your whole fucking lifetime to, you know, appreciate it. You know, for this guy, it might have happened a little quicker because he knew to get on the show with the follow-up, you do want to send the emails pretty close to each other, you know, so that was a good move on his
There are
part.
a couple emails apart. Like it was a thing where I like
Ooh.
had to swipe through a couple other emails to get to it. Yeah.
We're getting a lot of emails.
Are there any
nowadays.
emails that you've just completely shelved or you just don't?
I was about to say there's one that I keep forgetting because I do a system where I like hit the star on the Gmail if I want to read it on the air, and then I unstar it after, and then I'll scroll through and be like, oh shit, there's a starred one from like 3 weeks ago that we didn't get to. So real quick on this one, because it's not like a question even, but it's a nice one. This one comes from Ben, and it says, just wanted to say thanks. You guys are the reason I watched Grown Ups 2 and the reason I watched 16 John Ford films in the last 6 months or so. Both have been rich, meaningful experiences that have made my life much better. Ben from Jeff City, Missouri. Now, there are 3 things about that email that are beautiful. One is that you watched 16 John Ford films. 2 is that you equated the experience of watching 16 John Ford films to watching Grown Ups 2 once. And 3 is that you are from a place called Jeff City, which is just beyond the pale. Beautiful.
Well, I was gonna ruin it.
What?
Jefferson City?
No, Jeff.
Jeff City? Jeff City?
Jeff City.
Shout out to Jeff City. Shout out to Missouri. We're usually
As the Jeff of the podcast, JT. Have you heard of Jeff City before?
Name docs.
It is Jefferson City, but it is informally called Jeff City. I was so excited as the resident Jeff here. I was like, it was discovering my Israel in real time.
Go do birthright over there.
Look, the Jeff City and Thomastown have had a very difficult past, and I think they can coexist eventually. Wait, is your middle name Thomas?
Taylor, but
Taylor.
yeah.
God damn it. Oh, because you're like Jeffrey Taylor Thomas. Yeah.
It's a riff off of that. Yeah.
Well, no, I also confuse it because my brother is also a JT, and his is Thomas.
Oh wow, I feel like
He doesn't go by JT, but
Okay.
like his initials to start were, not to start, he hasn't changed them, but the initials, first and middle, are JT. And my dad was like, hey, he's going to be known as JT. People are going to call him JT.
He was setting it up for that.
Nobody calls him JT. It's like only my dad once in a while, and like my late grandpa used to do it because,
that was their vision.
Yeah, he was like, I saw the vision. I remember calling him JT.
Let's reveal. All right, my younger brother's names are Michael and Steven. I just feel like
I'm not revealing my brother's name, only the initials.
JT,
You can't
his
look up
name's-
JT Averill and find him. I want to protect his identity.
No, sure, that's a good point.
What about a better one? What's your middle name?
David.
David. That's not right.
That's
no, it's
my,
not. Nope. That's not right.
What do you
Nope.
think my middle name was? You're just not into that?
No, it just doesn't fit. You just don't have a middle name to me.
That's cool. I've always respected people who didn't have middle names. I always thought that was
could
cool.
see if you said something else, I could see it. But David, no.
MDB is great though.
MDB
Like,
is good.
MDB would like if you hooped, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I've definitely used like MDB in like some old like emails.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I definitely was trying to
$1 million baby.
I was more into that than like bomber. Like I kind of never got into like my last name sounding
Being
like
like
a
an
bomb.
explosive.
Yeah,
Bomber?
like
Bomber's
yeah.
kind of cool.
bomber's kind of cool.
Bomberman.
It's better than I was telling this to some people and they were repulsed even though I was merely a child, but I remember people used to call me like Malky back when I was like a little boy. When I was a little
Malky?
child.
That's
like,
what I
it was
call the
just-
singer of Pavement, Stephen Malcolmus. I call him Malky.
But I was telling that to some people. They were just like, "Oh, ew, Malky."
Ew.
Like it's like I was 6. You know,
Yeah.
I was a little boy.
You always have to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Jeffy over here,
Jeffy, Eddie, you already, Eddie.
I already have Eddie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
you're
And I
a-
stuck with it because I'm an infant.
Yeah. You need to
to
grow
grow
up.
up and
So we're
become
gonna start
Edward.
calling you Ed if that's
Yeah.
okay, just to encourage
My
growth.
game has grown. I prefer you call me William. Going out on a Jay-Z quote.
Hell yeah, dude. Throw up the rock.
Throw up the rock. Yeah, for all my fellow elite billionaire pedophiles.
Hey, his name was cleared. Tony
Was it?
Yeah, it was pretty much shown to be a sham.
Yeah.
That was a sham.
I'm
Busby,
sure.
He's a shark looking for blood. Don't trust him.
Yeah.
Tony Busby.
I'll take back what I said. He had no affiliation with Mr. Puff.
Sure. I for some reason, I like. There's
I
just
like
a-
Jay-Z.
No, yeah, I like Jay-Z too.
I like
and
him a lot.
And I feel like there's a lot of people out there that want him to be a
wanna
pedophile.
be Jay-Z.
No, they want to be Jay-Z. They want him to be a pedophile. They want him and Beyonce to be like elite pedophiles, and I just don't think they are. Like, I think they're, they might have other things that they do wrong, but I hopefully nothing comes out that proves me wrong here. But I just, I think that desire needs to be examined.
I wonder why those people think that. Like, it's like the people who think that they are like fucking pedophiles are like the right-wing pedophile hunters
Well,
who
yeah, it's not-
define what's wrong with America as Beyonce playing the halftime show. Like, literally, it's just racists.
Yeah, I mean, it's maybe these people don't quite deserve a response even.
Yeah.
But I'm just, you know,
literally just racist.
I'm just saying, I don't, even so, I feel like no one, I want to be, I'm I'm in the Jay-Z defense circle.
Me too.
Is what I'm saying.
I mean, I don't think like 444 was a good album or anything, but like,
had good production. Yeah, it's what he's rapping
well,
about.
it was better
today.
than fucking Magna Carta. Holy
Yeah,
Grail.
exactly.
That shit was
That's
awful.
Shit's on your Samsung phone.
My Samsung Galaxy.
Samsung Galaxy.
I literally was on my Samsung Galaxy S7 probably. That was like 2013 or so. Yeah. I had the Galaxy. I had the Galaxy S6, 7, and 8.
Damn. Hey, at least it's better than that U2 album that has like child porn on it or whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, come on. Again, you're just throwing accusations because he's Irish. Well,
Yeah,
the
because
guy's Irish. Like, you
I'm
know.
Irish. I'm the most Irish guy on this podcast.
Sure.
Is JT? Do you have any Irish? in you?
JT has The Quiet Man on VHS. That
True.
beats you out.
I'm like a mix of, I think, English and German, but like my ancestry goes too far back, I think, to really narrow it down.
Yeah.
Favorite Jay-Z song?
Ooh.
Or even just like a top couple.
I mean, what is my favorite Jay-Z song is Not Fair to Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Because it's Big Pimpin'.
Yeah.
So I
True.
feel like I got to think of, it's something
like
off,
even though it's his song, it's
Yeah.
a UGK.
it's probably like something off the Blueprint.
Yeah.
I've listened to the Blueprint tons.
Side B Blueprint.
Side B.
That's my favorite.
Okay,
Like like Never Change is on there, and
Yeah.
like obviously Renegade is great.
H to the is.
H to the is. I mean, I guess Heart of the City's on side B as
Ooh,
well.
Heart of the
Yeah.
City. That might be.
Yeah.
That might be it. You know, one of my favorite music videos too is, I think it's like "Give It to Me," Jay-Z, Pharrell, and like the plot, and it has John Witherspoon, you know, from
Yeah.
Friday in it, and like the plot of it is that Jay-Z's at a house party looking to smash, and every room he goes into, there's already a couple in the room, and he's just like, God fucking damn it, you know.
We have talked about this music video before.
I feel like it hasn't been mentioned. That's the great thing
In like
about
4 years,
Yeah,
though. Yeah, that's like we talked about this music video at my mom's house when we
Yeah.
first started this podcast.
Anything that we talked about 4 years ago is back on the table. It's fair
Absolutely.
game.
I mean, 4 years is a whole time. Is a whole
It's a
lifetime.
whole goddamn presidency.
Yeah, it's a whole goddamn
Election
presidency.
cycle.
I forgot what prompted Bill Simmons to say that. But he's like, 4 years is like a lifetime. You go to college?
I remember that too. It was a very funny context in which
Like it was just like about the Celtics or something. It's just like 4 years is a lifetime. Go away to college. My favorite Jay-Z song might be off Reasonable Doubt, though. I mean, I listen to Reasonable Doubt more than anything else, probably. But then also, like, it's a little inconsistent, but Black Album has some of his high points, too. You know, obviously,
Album's really good.
Volumes 1 and 2 are great. Volume 2, that's really good. Yeah.
that one's underrated.
Yeah.
I feel like I've
yeah.
listened to
What's
that
the
one,
song
but
with, what's his name? The NorCal rapper, the Bay Area rapper that's on that. Too Short.
Oh yeah.
Bleep, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's a, Can I Get It? That's a good one too.
Yeah,
That
that
one's
one's good too. Yeah. Yeah, those are good ones. Those are good ones. Obviously, A Million Questions / medley, the opener of Volume 1. That's like top 3 for me. The opening of Volume 1 might be like right up there for me. Basically, all of Reasonable Doubt, at least side 1 of Reasonable Doubt, I think is like as good as music, as good as rap music has been to my ears, to my whitey ass ears. You know.
Hey, be confident.
You know
in your
what?
rap opinion.
I'm not gonna fucking qualify it then. Yeah, side 1 of Reasonable Doubt is as good as late '90s music gets.
Yeah,
you know,
that's a great. That's that's not even maybe my first choice, but it's a great album for
Yeah.
sure. JT, do you have a Jay-Z song?
No,
F
I
with?
do. Again, like I feel like I have
Yeah.
strange like kind of gaps in
you
rap
have
music.
like boomer taste in country and zoomer taste in rap.
Is that true?
I don't know necessarily about that, but it's just like
That was a broad generalization. I was really going for it though.
no, I like that. That's much more exciting than I feel like my real taste in it. But I feel like at the age where I would have like been really like obsessively like diving into music in like middle school And like high school, that wasn't really my thing. I mean, high school, like I picked up into like more like, I don't know, I feel like Kanye was a big way in,
course,
obviously,
yeah.
as it was
Sure.
for many people. But then from there, I like spun like into like Danny Brown and
Yeah.
some other stuff from there. But yeah,
Never listened to the Blueprint?
no, I should get around to it.
I mean, for the sake of 9/11 history. You say 90s hip hop?
Well, I was kind of just saying in general. It's like, do you have
Hey,
90s hip hop?
hip-hop, yeah.
Do you have any 90s hip hop education?
No.
Yeah, are we about to
Yeah.
the extended clip should become a 90s hip hop
I
podcast.
mean,
Just like having JT like come in wearing a dashiki. Like I finally listened to Midnight Marauders and it changed everything, you guys. It changed everything.
I mean, to be honest,
I'm kind of a jazz cat now.
every white guy who listens to rap did have a moment when they listened to Tribe Called Quest and
Oh,
they
absolutely.
locked in. They
I
were
mean,
like, okay, let's
I'm
get
really
to it.
lucky that I was like
Yeah.
very young when that happened because it would have
Yeah.
been embarrassing if it was when I was like in my 20s, just because of like my internet posting would have been more embarrassing. But
You would have
when it
got-
was just like my high school Facebook buddies, me and my high school Facebook buddies posting Tribe Called Quest and MF Doom links at each other, like
yeah.
that's good old wholesome white suburban fun.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
I haven't listened to it. I should listen to. I might listen to some Tribe tonight. I feel like I haven't. You know,
Yeah.
it's been a while.
I mean, yeah, I was only thinking of them recently from going back to Reasonable Doubt because
Oh, yeah.
Jay-Z interpolates "Can I Kick It"
Oh yeah, yeah,
in the song 22
Can I Kick
Twos,
It?
which has a very funny skit.
yeah.
Which I don't know if you remember. Also, sign up for the Patreon where you'll hear more of this, maybe. I don't know. Sign up for the Patreon. Bonus episode every single week. The next bonus episode is going to be on Holy Smoke by Jane Campion. Another classic, sexy Malcolm pick. Goodbye, everybody.